The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 7. It is now out, and this is officially the last of this season. See what I did there? Well, hello everyone, welcome to Pop Culture Vortex. I am your host, Alex Pinto, and well, for this episode, as you saw early in the intro, we are going to be talking about the final episode of Season 2. Alright, did it stick the landing? We are about to discuss that right now. So, let me just get one thing off the top here. First of all, the performances, once again, fantastic. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. You know, whatever problems I may have with this episode, the performances are not it. The performances by each individual actor is great, especially Bella Ramsey. You know, once again, Isabella Merced is great. Jeffrey Wright is amazing. You know, Caitlin Dever, her few scenes were quite good. Alright, so let's get that out of the way. Alright, those performances are really good. Alright, I'll just get that out of the way. Plus, not to mention, you know what, it does start off very strong. You know, you obviously start off with, you know, Ellie after she butchers Nora, beats her to a pulp. Alright, and you have that amazing scene where she has her conversation with Dina and basically tells her everything about how when Joel kills the Fireflies, from him killing Abby's father, the doctor, all that is there, and it's a very good scene, especially when you see the amount of bruise marks and scratches that Ellie has, ouch. Yeah. So yeah, all that was very damn good. I thought it opened up very strong. Unfortunately, that's what I'll say that's good about this episode. Because this episode sucked a whole lot of ass overall. Yeah. As someone who has been defending this season, I'll admit, I've been very nice with this season. I've actually quite liked this season. Alright? I was thinking, okay, you know what? I think this season's doing better than the game. You know, I think, wow, you know what? Because I gave up in the game after Joel's golfing trip. And guess what? I actually lasted after Joel's golfing trip for this season. I was, you know what, defending this season. Granted, I did not like episode 3 all that much, but still, I was very much pro season 2. And look, when it comes down to it, when it comes to a season, it all does come down to, you know, the finale. And unfortunately, this finale really just didn't do it for me. It just did not. So let me just get the things out of the way of what do I not like about this episode. First of all, look, Ellie has been a big issue this whole season. Her character has been quite unlikable. I've been kind of defending the fact that she is a teenager. I understand that. I understand that wholeheartedly, that she is a teenager. And she's going through these emotions. But at the same time, there is a balance you gotta hit. You know? Because this episode really takes that further down, and to the point where she's just a complete idiot, too. I get it, yes, we were all dumbass teenagers, but this was a whole other level. Jesus Christ, man. There's this one scene where Jesse and Ellie are going off into Seattle, trying to get to the rendezvous point with Tommy to meet him there. However, then they see this militia groups going after this little boy. I think it was a little boy, right? I can't remember, but anyways, so they're both watching as they're basically beating the shit out of this boy, basically treating him like absolute crap. And then Ellie, you know, her first instinct is I want to go save this boy. And then Jesse's there no, you gotta, and she's all no, you can't do that. There's 6 of them. And she gets all mad, what the hell were you gonna do, huh? Why are you getting mad that Jesse's saving your ass? There were 6 guys against 2 of you. Not to mention, at the end of the day, you're still a fucking, you know, teenage girl that's gonna be going up against these big men with fucking big guns. What were you gonna do, Ellie, huh? What were you gonna go do, you know, that would save that poor boy, huh? That child. What were you gonna do, Ellie? Come on. You cannot get mad at Jesse for saving your ass because he did the right thing. Jesse was right this episode. My God. What a complete idiot. Anyways, so scratch that. And then later on, you know, we have that, you know, scene which, okay, another scene I do like is when Jesse's talking about how he's dedicated to the town of Jackson. How he had the opportunity to leave with this amazing woman, but he stayed because he cared about this town. He knew that the responsibility of the town, if God forbid anything were to happen to Marie, it would fall on him. And I like that scene. And then later he goes, when Ellie was going off on him, going like, "You're such a good guy. You didn't save that boy because of the community." No! He didn't save that boy because he was trying to save your stupid ass. Because once again, what the hell were you gonna do, Ellie? Huh? Like, what are you gonna do? Take out your little magnum gun, like Joel's gun, and your little pocket knife? And just go pew 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 on them? You would have been fucking dead. Come on. Don't be an idiot. But anyways, I'm going off here, but then you hear also like that Tommy is shooting, like he is sniping. It's like, wow, we're seeing Tommy in action, except we're not seeing him in action. We're not. Like, finally, Tommy, I want to see more of Tommy, and they don't give us that. They're like, "Oh, well, you gotta wait till next season." Fuck you. Like, and that's one thing I hate about this episode too, is that, like, first of all, I felt like this season, despite its flaws, it actually had a pretty good flow going up to this point. And this episode felt rushed. Like, everything was just, okay, let's go from point A to point B, but like very quickly. And more than anything, this episode just felt like it was just meant to be set up for season 3. Like, there was no real payoff to the season. I get it that this is meant to be a first half of the game, but even then, like this, you're still gonna end off the season. You gotta end it off with some kind of payoff. Like, this episode did not do that. It did none of those things. Like, you literally have Ellie going off to go find Abby. She finds her brother and Mandy, I think it is. Yeah, Mandy. Yeah. Owen is her brother's name. Yeah, Owen. She finds them both and she kills them. Now, I do like the reunion scene between Tommy and Ellie. Like, yeah, it was a nice little moment. And then you followed up with, but like, it all felt so rushed. It felt so rushed. And I'll admit, that scene when she gets kidnapped by the Scars and then she's about to get hanged up, I'll admit, I felt no tension throughout that scene. Like, it just goes by so fast that I was like, okay, cool. Why did this scene need to be in there? Like, it's just literally, and even that, why did Ellie necessarily need to crash? Like, the boat just seems just fine, and then she just goes back in the water. Like, what was the point of that then? Like, there was no real point to have that scene with the Scars. Like, does that happen in the game that I don't know about? Like, I didn't understand. But anyways, like, you get there, she kills Owen and Mandy, then they end off this episode. I mean, you have one last interaction between Jesse and Ellie, and it's, a nice little conversation. And then immediately something happens, and then Jesse gets killed. They ended off with, like, Abby seeing Ellie saying, I let you live. Now you've wasted your life, or something like that, right? And then it ends off with this ambiguous ending of, just Abby shooting at Ellie, and we don't know what happens to Ellie, which I think if you played the game, I guess you know what happens to Ellie. I've seen that clip of the game, right? And you know what happens to Ellie. But then they ended off with, Abby in Seattle. But the thing is that they started off with Seattle Day 3, then you go back to Seattle Day 1, setting up that the next season is going to be Abby's perspective. As much as I would love to see Caitlin Dever as Abby, as she was great in the role, why the fuck do we need to dedicate a season for her? Why? We don't need to do that. You could get by her story with just maybe 1 or 2 episodes. Matter of fact, that's one thing I hate that this finale kind of reminded me of. This season was way too short. 7 episodes compared to season 1's 9 episodes. I get that. That's only about 2 episodes short. But fact is, another thing that also added to it, the episodes were too damn short. Like, maybe they had a budget concern considering they had more infected this season. I admire they had more infected this season, but come on, guys. 7 episodes when you could have told this in 9 episodes, and I'm hearing they want to do a 4th season. You don't need a 4th season to tell this story. I do not believe you do. So yeah, this is kind of pissing me off. I'm not even sure I'm even excited for season 3 now because of this episode. Like, this episode was not very good. Like, I was defending this season. Unfortunately, like, if this episode had landed, I would have said this was a good season, a good follow-up. Not as good as the first season, but still a good season overall. Unfortunately now, because of this episode, I'm just going to say this episode was decent. This season was decent at most. But, yeah. Now, I will make a separate video that I will talk more in detail of what I liked about this season overall and what I didn't like about this season overall. You know, like, so I will have a video like that coming up soon. When? I'm not sure, but it will happen sometime this week. All right, I will get to work on it. And, well, we'll see how it goes. And, yeah, so overall, while this episode had its moments, like, once again, I did love the performances by Bella Ramsey, Isabella Merced, Gabriel Luna had some good moments, Jeffrey Wright. I like that we got more scenes with him. And also another thing about Jeffrey Wright is that we got more scenes with him, and they're good. He's good in them, but, like, they go by very fast. And then he talks about how, like, Ellie should be my next in command. Like, what? Like, a girl who's probably in her mid-20s is going to be the next in command? And another thing, that's one thing I hate that goes back to this is just pure setup for the next season, is that, okay, come on, if you're going to bring that up this episode, then elaborate more on that. What does Isaac see in Abby that no one else does? All right, like, what does he see in her? So, like, once again, they're asking us, oh, well, you gotta wait till next season. I'm not sure I want to. Like, I'm almost tempted to say, okay, why do I need to see Abby's perspective? Okay, I get it. That was part of the game. And guess what? A part of the game that nobody liked. All right? Focusing on Abby was a mistake from the game. And I believe it's going to be a mistake next season. I mean, I could be wrong. Craig Mazin has done a fantastic job for this series. So maybe he changes my mind. But right now, I'm not convinced. So yeah, that's how I feel about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 7. The last of this season. I can't believe, actually. Overall, like, I cannot believe that season ended. Like, wow. I mean, I find it hard to believe that I'm going to go by next week without an episode of The Last of Us. But unfortunately, I was left disappointed. And like I said, if this episode had landed, I could have said this was a good season, just not as good as the first. But unfortunately, like, it's just a decent season. And I will dive more into that later on. All right. Well, anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I sure hope you like this video. And if you do like this video a lot, please hit that like button. And if you want to show your support and see more content, please hit that subscribe button. All right. I sure hope you all have a good night.